really interesting to point out that when after the 2003 case where he, as Andrew said, was doing bad things with young people, after that his methodology changed completely. It is almost like an operation. He would start recruiting these girls when they were 16 and 17. The second they turned 18, they're off to start hobnobbing with very rich people and very powerful officials in various places. It supports exactly what Andrew's talking about. And that's been proven. That's known with beyond a fact by the victims' own, and we can call them victims, but by these people's own testimony. And by the way, they said they never heard Trump's name. They never saw him. They never met him. They had nothing to do with Trump. So I would.
Do you think that Prince Andrew, Dylan, was on Epstein Island banging a chick and that MI6 didn't know about it? You think MI6 didn't know? I think he was that Prince Andrew was down there moving and grooving?
Reeves.
Well,
yeah,
that's
I think that MI6 knew exactly where Prince Andrew was when he was on that island. So that's why
you have to be asking yourself,
it could possibly not care. It wouldn't be the first time intelligence agencies have looked past moral degeneracy of an individual.
But
that's not looking past. It's the fact of the matter is that compromise operations are probably one of the most useful tools against Western governments. You can't do them against Arab governments. You can't do them against Eastern governments because they don't give a shit about age of consent laws. It doesn't bother them. But Western governments do. And so one of the most effective compromising tactics by various intelligence agencies, and I can pull up multiple operations for you that are very similar to this, where they're utilizing people to run underage prostitution.
Let's say I grant all of this. Let's say I grant all of this.
Yeah.
I would make, and you said you agree with the release, but I just want to see if we can, touch tips here a little bit.
Let's not never ever say that again, bro. Holy shit.
I'll say it again. But
that's enough to gag a maggot, Dylan.
So, Andrew Wilson, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson. I'm the host of The Crucible. I'm a political analyst, a political satirist, and engage in debates of all kinds all around the world. I appreciate being on the panel tonight with all of you, except for Dylan, except for Down syndrome Burns. But everybody else is awesome, and I'm glad to see all of you here.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Up next, you know what? That's a great segue. Dylan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Down syndrome Burns. I'm a war journalist and political streamer. I stream Monday through Fridays, and I cover the war in Ukraine on the ground, embedded with the Ukrainian armed forces, film documentaries, stuff like that. Release them on YouTube, free charge.
Cool. Thank you so much. Up next, we got the Misfit Patriot. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, the Misfit Patriot. I do the TMP Uncensored podcast on Rumble. I have a YouTube. I don't really use it, but you can find me on X and Instagram. I do debates sometimes, but mostly I just talk shit on Twitter, and that's about it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. Up next, we've got She's Right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm She's Right. You can support me at she'srightshow.com, and I'm a concerned American.
Cool. Up next, we've got Andrew JD. Would you like to introduce yourself?
What's going on? Name's Andrew. I'm taking the position that none of this matters.
Cool. Thanks. And we'll be able to go, like the people who reach out to me to ask for openings, y'all will have an opportunity to do so.
True.
Up next, we've got Unreasonable Man. Would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, you're muted. Oh, do you got it? Cool. All right, go ahead. Cool. Thank you. Up next, we've got Logix. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Logix. Do a lot of social commentary, politics a little bit, and debunking on YouTube.
Cool. Thank you. And then lastly, we have Confluence. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Confluence 358 on YouTube. I make a lot of political commentary videos and a lot of reaction stuff to the Whatever podcast. And yeah, you can find me there. I'm center right most of the time, but here I'm a centrist.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right. And with that, I will go. With that, the topic for today is what about the Epstein files? I'm leaving it intentionally open-ended because there are so many ways I expect that people are interested in taking this. How important are the files? Why have they not been discussed why have they not been discussed as much lately? What do we make of what we know at this point? Tonight we can discuss all of this and more. So per my request in the Discord, I'm going to begin with the people who reached out to me beforehand to request opening statements, and then I'll ask if anyone else would like to make one before we launch into the main discussion. So Andrew, JD, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. My position on the Epstein files is that nobody really cares. Everyone loves to pretend that they do. Whatever side gets the opportunity to wield anything related to the Epstein files in a way that can damage the other side, they will take that opportunity to do so. And when they do not have an opportunity to either defend or attack, they will ignore it like it doesn't exist because none of us really care. Nobody really cares. There's probably nothing in there that's ultra damaging to Trump. Maybe he will get a little red in the cheeks from whatever is contained within. If there was anything criminal, he'd be in jail, or at least he would have been charged already. And if there was anything, my guess would be if there was anything like political career ending, that would have gotten leaked already. So my overall position is that this is a waste and there's real issues to talk about.
All right. Thank you so much. Up next, we've got She's Right Show. Would you like to make an opening?
Really? I mean, I just kind of think that leaders should have integrity and do what they say. And I think it's pretty concerning to see a whole political party backflip. And I think that raises a lot of good concerns about potential corruption and dishonesty in our system.
Okay. And lastly, for the people who reached out to me, we have Confluence. Would you like to make an opening statement?
Yeah, mine's about 2 minutes. So if it gets like boring, just feel free to cut me off. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go. 2 minutes should be fine. Like usually around 5 minutes is like my hard cap. So yeah, that should be fine.
Perfect. Okay. Everything around Jeffrey Epstein, both his life and his death, should be heavily scrutinized, and all of us on all sides should be asking more questions about the Epstein files and what they contain. None of it makes sense, including his life, his death, and what we've been told about the files. Despite being born to middle-class parents, a teacher's assistant, and a gardener, his life was a repeated pattern of failing upwards. From dropping out of college and landing a job as a teacher adult in a prestigious school for the children of the elite, for which he was fired, to then getting hired at an investment firm, dodging an SEC allegation of insider trading, getting fired again with no prosecution, then joining a debt collection company, Towers Financial, whose sole purpose was seemingly to vampirize other companies, which ended up being implicated in one of the largest Ponzi schemes in U.S. history, to which Epstein's partner received 25 years in jail, and Epstein received, you guessed it, nothing, to then magically opening his own investment firm where he wouldn't accept clients whose net worth was below $1 billion, and somehow becoming a jet-setting socialite that rubbed elbows with the world's elites, including billionaires, tech geeks, royalty, Saudi princes, celebrities, prime ministers, you name it. He did heinous things. I'm sure I don't need to repeat them. He dodged prosecutions magically, serving a paltry 13 months in jail thanks to a sweetheart deal from Alex Acosta, during which he was allowed out of jail 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, before finally being later brought down when the political pressure became insurmountable. His death is just as mysterious, with missing footage, failing cameras, broken protocol, falsified guard logs, and inconsistent reporting. So the man that is Jeffrey Epstein is a true enigma, and remember, those never age, and clearly something is suspicious with every element of his life. I see myself as being in the center on this because I think everyone is likely involved, both the left and the right, with covering up the Epstein files. Trump's administration has repeatedly switched their stories from promising to release the client list to having the client list on Pam Bondi's desk, to then the client list having never actually existed in the first place, to then it being a Democrat hoax, to then Trump being an FBI informant, to then, oh wait, just kidding about that last part. None of it adds up. None of it makes sense. And I think everyone is hiding something and blames the other side when it's convenient for themselves politically. The death of Charlie Kirk has, perhaps conveniently so, moved the conversation away from Epstein, but I suppose that's why we're here having this panel, because we're not being given answers and everyone is to blame.
Great, thank you. That is everyone who reached out to me beforehand. Now, before we move into the main discussion, does anyone else like really pressingly want to make an opening statement? Otherwise, I'll turn it over to y'all. Not seeing any hands. All right, then the floor is open. Anyone can take it anywhere they'd like to. I have my own questions, but that's just in case, you know, the conversation is dried up or y'all need some direction where you want to take it.
Yeah, I'll start. So I kind of agree with pretty much what Andrew JD said, where it's being weaponized on both sides, and it really doesn't matter that much anymore. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in 2006 under George Bush. He was arrested in 2019 under Donald Trump. 2 Republican administrations have arrested him, and 0 Democrats. So there was 3 administrations prior to Trump, and now Trump's giving blame for everything regarding Jeffrey Epstein, when we know that there was, what now, almost 20 years where anything that was in the files that was of pertinent information probably was deleted or is no longer available. So what about the Epstein files? My question is always the same. What Epstein files? I don't think they exist. So everyone's asking for something that Donald Trump can't produce and blaming him for 3 prior administrations that might have had plenty of time with, in conjunction with, you know, all the nefarious actors that might even be related to the Jeffrey Epstein files, deleting shit as they go. But essentially, after this long, give it the fuck up, because while we all want to see the Epstein files, that's like saying I want to see Santa Claus. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's gone. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree it's Wizard of Oz sort of thing, right? Like none of this actually. I agree with Andrew JD. I disagree with Confluence. While as a constitutional conservative, my stance has always be, hey, absolute transparency. The people have a right to know. It all should be released with, you know, just redactions to protect actual victims and not political or financial wizards that we don't care about. The reality is I don't think there ever was any files. I don't think, and we know that because the FBI said we don't have any files. We're gathering information now. They never said that they had a stack full of files back in 2019 and 2020. They never said that. They just said, yeah, we're investigating. And then we go into Biden, and Biden could have released anything he wanted to release, right? And to believe, and I'll agree with Andrew JD again. If they had had anything on Trump, you can be guaranteed they would have released it. They would have ended that man's career if they could have, and they didn't. So you know there's nothing there. You absolutely know. I mean, this is just what happens is anytime somebody starts looking too closely at tariffs, anytime somebody starts looking too closely at the new prison systems that they're selling off or anything that nobody wants you to look at, they trot out Epstein's ghost and put it on parade, so that both sides take the bait. Now you have Democrats clamoring to release this data, and nobody cares because it doesn't matter. And that's just
so
where.
Why do you think it was? Why do you think it was promised to us? Like you guys are saying, there's no client list. Why did JD Vance say release the list? Why did
like water? They dry up.
Yeah, Bond.
Right, but then I guess we can't complain when we can't. Trump can't complain when people are still talking about Epstein when all of his administration said that they would release the client list. They had the client list, and they keep changing their story every like 5 minutes. Like then, of course, people are going to be like, "Well, you said there was more files. Are you going to release them?" Then they release the footage, and the footage has been edited in Adobe Premiere and has like a minute cut of it. Is not what Kash Patel promised. Like these are the issue is just under delivered promises, right? Like so, I guess. What's the take on like why are they doing that? Why not just say we didn't have them in the first place?
I guess they've been extremely performative. I mean, the Pam Bondi binder scandal was pretty embarrassing to get all these social influencers and for everybody who participated in it directly, especially to go out there to hold up these binders to give that shit-eating grin like you're participating in history, and it had nothing of relevance in it. And that's why afterwards they said, well, we have to make all these legal requests. We have to, subpoena the grand jury testimony, not all the testimony, but the grand jury testimony. I have the files on my desk. Never mind. Well, I might have them on my desk, but I'm not going to release them. And they just ran in circles after making these big declarative statements. It's the party or the administration, more the people around Trump than Trump himself, set up the rake to stomp on it themselves. It's mostly a crisis of their own creation.
I guess that's where I come in with this. I'm kind of in between because I feel like this is all something that Trump and his administration created, and now they got the shit on their face for not producing what they promised. I don't think whatever Trump's name is in these files, I don't think it's anything incriminating. I think he just had probably business ventures with Epstein, and they were friends, so he visited and whatnot. I don't think Trump has necessarily done anything criminal, at least nothing in the files that exist have been. And Kash Patel, Bondi, all of them was just talking out of their ass until they got in office and realized, oh shit, it's really nothing to see. But I'm just reveling in the fact that the right is tripping all over themselves to either want to see it or not see it. That's where I'm at with it.
Well, most people on the right have called out Bondi, myself included. A lot of people have acknowledged that they have fucked this up. But here's what happened, okay? A bunch of people started screaming, release the Epstein files, putting pressure on Pam Bondi to release something that didn't exist. Then she said that she was going to release something that didn't exist. And then when she couldn't deliver something that didn't exist, everybody said, why did you promise a thing that didn't exist? Because she fucked up. And look, I'm not going to give her...
She fucked up doesn't explain why. Why?
Because everyone was pressuring her to release something that she did not have.
They all fucked up. They all said that they would release more than they did.
Were you listening earlier? There were 3 prior administrations that this could have been released.
Which one gave him the sweetheart deal?
What? Bush?
Yep.
Yeah, Bush. Fuck Bush. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can the conclusion here not just be that Pam Bondi is fucking terrible at her job and she just shouldn't be in that position?
For all we know,
I would agree with you. It's Trump's fault, but I think the conclusion is okay, Pam, you fucking suck at this and you're gone.
Oh, she should be fired.
I want her fired.
Yeah, but it could just be as easy.
It's not just her. It's JD Vance too.
We've got this file.
Kash
and we're
Patel
holding it. Nobody can see it. So then they get in there and they say, "Okay, bring me the file." Well, yeah, we'll bring it to you, but they never do because it doesn't exist. It was all just smoke and mirrors.
Well, I mean, if it was just Pam Bondi, maybe. It wasn't just Pam Bondi, though. Kash Patel went on the Joe Rogan podcast, most popular podcast in the United States, and he said not only would they release the evidence of the footage of the security cam video, which wasn't outside of his cell, by the way, was on a wall completely the opposite side, so he's already not delivering what he promised. Those cameras were not working. Then after promising
Patel or Bongino,
he delivers the footage. It is not raw. It was edited in Adobe Premiere, and it didn't have all of it. There was time missing, about a minute that they said had to do with the system cutting out a minute at the end of every day. But he under-delivered what he promised. And then Dan Bongino, I believe his name is pronounced, the deputy under him, he did like a protest. It was like a student walkout. He went home. He wouldn't come to work for a week.
Yeah, and Theo Vaughn had a podcast with JD Vance where JD Vance said he'd release it. And then Donald Trump himself was on Lex Friedman and when asked said he would release it. So we have everybody saying that this client list exists.
Right.
So why is everyone making
you don't
stuff
have
up?
them saying it. That's
they said they should be released. There's separation of powers. They don't have they're leaving it up to the judiciary to do the judiciary's job. That's the executive. They don't.
You keep saying this like they had it and then they just decided not to have it. It's like if Misfit Patriot tells me, "Hey man, I've got the dirt on your boy over there," and I say, "Okay, cool, give it to me," and he says, "Yeah, I'll get it to you." 3 weeks later, I say, "Hey man, I really got to have this. I got to have it." "Yeah, I'll get it to you." So then I go over there and he says, "Look, man, I never had anything. Or actually I had something, but I got 2 sheets of paper that just says just bullshit." And I go, "Well, dude, you just fucked me. Like now I promised all these people this stuff and it doesn't exist. And now you fucked me." Mm-hmm. You guys are
who did the original? Who did the original fucking though? I guess
nobody. We were relying on the FBI to say what they had. They never disclosed anything. Now the real questions are: did they really have terabytes of data from the video cameras inside the compound? I don't think they did. I don't think they ever had any of that. I think that never existed.
Why wouldn't they have that? They had there was like 600 cameras. all over Epstein's property,
Sure.
and like three.
I don't think they were recording a damn thing
in private residence, like in private bedrooms. They were all over. None of those cameras. So we trust the FBI now that they didn't find anything, but we trust them that they found like 300 gigabytes or whatever it was of like camera footage.
First of all, they did release files, right? They didn't release files that you like, but they released files. I think there was like 80,000 pages of documents.
Yeah, but it was nothing that the public didn't already know.
Hold on. And who's to say that all the information that you're talking about that did exist at one point wasn't deleted under the Biden administration?
We would know they released the files.
Well, why wouldn't they clearly say that?
Like, why are they hiding from that then?
Well, because they can't prove who deleted something because the thing is not there. So they're just saying
No
it's
longer
been deleted.
Is that what this whole panel is? Is it just bitching about the way in which this information has been released by the Trump administration, or did you guys have actual criticism? Or did you have actual criticisms or accusations to make against the Trump administration that they're covering? That they're cutting on. Hang on, let me ask the question. Shut up, lady, while I ask the question. So the question's really simple. Are you making an accusation that Trump is somehow nefariously tied up with Epstein? Are you making an accusation that there's a cover-up afoot? Why don't you just say what you mean so we can get to the heart of it, and so I don't have to listen to an Epstein Yelp review, and we can have an actual debate here?
All right, Andrew's being dangerously based. I don't like it. All right, my accusation would be that I hit it in my opening. My accusation would be Trump is probably embarrassed by the fact that he was friends with a criminal. That's what's in the files. It's gonna be like these dudes were pretty decently close friends, and he is definitely
until he banned him from all of the properties. Right, until he banned him from all the Mar-a-Lago properties, and then on top of that,
would you still say it's not an embarrassment when that comes out?
I don't think so. I think, like for instance, Chuck Schumer had introduced a bill which was trying to get the Epstein files released, but he attached it to a defense bill. And Chuck Schumer was heavily donated to by Epstein himself. They knew that the Republicans were going to block that because they attached it to another bill, right? This was all partisan politics and game playing. None of them had any intention whatsoever of actually releasing any of this. So the question here, really, for me, is what are you exactly accusing Trump of doing, or Trump's administration of doing? Because if all you're saying is they waffled on how to release this stuff, fine, I'll concede that point. The right has heavily criticized him for doing that, but do you have something more, or is it just like the last 17 weeks of everybody pitching about Epstein without actually making any sort of accusations about anything?
Well, there's plenty of accusations. I just don't know if any of us believe any of them.
Well, then, I
don't know if we got anyone on here that is deep in the conspiracies.
I'm curious, actually. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but what do you think about the Wall Street Journal, the Enigmas Never Age, that whole thing? I mean, Trump is obviously suing them, but it seems ballsy and just nonsensical if the Wall Street Journal doesn't know the provenance of that and is just running with that. So to me,
right. Give me a break. Do you know how many times these major media outlets have had to retract stories later on about
this
Trump?
This would be like a huge
about Trump's story. Yeah, but they do it all the time, man. They do it all the time.
Are you talking about
this
the
one?
letter?
The doodle.
But until that happens, I mean, we can say that about anything. Like, it might get retracted. What about the fact that it looks pretty credible at this moment in time?
Does it look credible, or are you just a fucking Democrat and you want it to be true? Like, which thing do you think is more likely from my position that suddenly we're going to start believing the Wall Street Journal?
Are you not a Democrat, so you think it's fake?
Without having, what's the actual evidence here? Can you show me what the actual evidence is that they're presenting?
That it came from his birthday book?
Oh,
right.
It came from the
Trump says, nope, not my signature. JD Vance comes out and says,
your argument? He says it's not mine.
Let me make my argument. Let me make the argument, and then you'll know my argument. So the argument's simple, right? Trump says, nope, not my signature. JD Vance comes out, says the whole thing is a hoax. The burden's on who? You. You know who doesn't have the burden to prove themselves innocent? Trump. You guys have to show a satisfying amount beyond a reasonable doubt that this is the case for the public to believe it, because right now they don't. The reason that they don't is because of all the misinformation that fucking Democrats have put out about Trump before. And the fact that we know Democrats don't give a shit about this. We know that with that Willie Jefferson Clinton was out on Epstein Island all the time. He went at least 4 times, recorded, right? No, Democrats don't care about that. They don't
told
care
you
about
that.
their own administration.
You
the
swear
What do
we
you
care about
mean?
Bill Clinton.
That's in the official
Bill-
released files.
No,
The
Bill Clinton.
Democrats-
what do you
there's
think
no
that
proof
people
Bill
don't
Clinton
believe?
was on the
almost done,
island.
bro. Almost done. 1
Keep
second.
going.
Democrats don't give, and you'll get plenty of time to respond. We have plenty of time to respond. Calm the fuck down. So look, Democrats don't care. They don't care. They're not looking at this in a credible way to try to clean their own house either. You're just trying to hurt Trump with it. You don't actually care about it.
Okay, so there was an actual letter. Hold on. There was an actual letter from Bill Clinton in that little birthday book thing too, right? And it was a handwritten letter. My question to everybody who believes that that was a real letter from Donald Trump, did you actually look at it? It says voiceover at the top of it, right? It is a voiceover it's a transcript that doesn't make any sense. It sounds ridiculous. And then somebody outlined the silhouette of a woman, and then they put Donald Trump's signature at the bottom of it. So,
They?
Andrew,
Who's they?
Andrew, you're
Who is
muted.
they?
The
Whoever
fakest thing ever.
released it.
Andrew
So
talks to his own
Wait,
chat
so
sometimes.
wait, I'm trying to understand how they get it out his birthday book and then they present it as the evidence, and Andrew's like, "Where's the evidence?" I've never heard of such bullshit.
No,
Yeah,
that's not what I
You
validity
said.
don't
of the
believe it.
Yeah,
You don't
no,
believe it.
nope.
So
I'm gonna give
therefore,
you.
it's not credible.
I'm going to give you the counter here. The counter is this: that when you make an accusation, if you say Andrew signed my birthday card, and I say that guy's a fucking liar, I didn't sign it, and that's not my signature, you then need to prove that it is,
This what we
fuckhead.
have, guys.
I don't have to go and
You
prove that
just
I
can't make
didn't
this
do
shit.
anything. You got to
Where are we
prove that
gonna
I
go?
did. So prove
I
it.
told you earlier today.
What
Andrew,
version of
just
proof would that be?
We are.
What does that look
Andrew,
like?
Right where I said.
I want to
Exactly
know.
outside
You
of
hear what I
signature
just said?
being a
Prove it.
damn near
Prove it's
duplicate.
What is the proof?
Prove it's
What
his
would prove-
signature, and he
What
actually
is the
signed
proof
it.
beyond those signatures being damn near identical?
You could have eyewitnesses who were there who saw it. You could have multiple corroborating evidences,
Eyewitnesses.
which
Oh
would
my
prove
God.
that
You could
Trump,
have
that
something
Trump
other than
was
a
false.
transcript.
Yeah,
You can do
could
all
have a-
sorts of
This,
things.
imagine
have
this
a shit.
barrier standard for everything.
Be
You
one
have
of the
to have
good
a-
times.
I know.
This
Imagine
is
having
one of the good
evidence for
things.
actual
Imagine
evidentiary
everything has to
claims.
have
A few good examples of
eyewitness
Trump's
to
doing,
be
'cause now it
credible.
will
Get
be
the
brought
fuck
before
outta
a court of
here.
law, and so we will get to see this information come out through the legal process
Yeah.
and see exactly what led the New York Times to make this conclusion that this was credible enough to release. And so this is something where we can all literally just wait and see. And so it's
Agreed.
also a story that's probably not going to go away.
Well,
I'm just
I mean,
curious, Andrew, what do you think about like the Woody Allen signature, the Alan Dershowitz, the Bill? Do you think the whole book is a fraud, or is your theory that just the Trump one is a fraud, or are you agnostic on it?
Well, it remains to be seen. You know exactly what's going on with the birthday book. So here's the thing that's really funny is like you guys all know this. You all cover media. Initial reports on almost everything that the media puts out there are wrong. And we know that they're wrong almost all the time, which is why we've now gotten into the era of the last 2 years, especially of commentators like all of you. The second a story comes out saying, wait, before I give a take, I'm going to wait for a little bit more information to come out, a little bit more clarification to come out, because if I don't, I'm going to get egg on my face. Except for stupid Democrats can't help themselves, right? Going to rush head first into the, see, Trump's a pedophile, is a pedophile island with pedophile Epstein. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut up. Just wait for the evidence to come out. Or show me the proof. Show me the actual proof other than, well, they just reported that. We have this card here, so therefore it's true. Fuck that.
The problem is,
Andrew, your president just went on TV and said, don't take Tylenol because of whatever. Like, stop talking about Democrats being stupid. This is ridiculous.
My
It has
president
nothing to
did
do
not
with
go
being
out on
stupid.
TV and say,
It's
stop
enough-
taking
it's
Tylenol
enough-
because whatever. You just made
It's
that
because
shit
there's
up.
enough. It's because it's enough evidence to where
Dumbass.
it's very much so probable that he did write the letter. And keep in mind, I'm also somebody that
What do
said
you
I don't
mean,
think
how much
Trump did
evidence?
anything necessarily illegal. I just think that his name is in there and he's embarrassed for it to come out
Okay.
for whatever reason. His name
Let's
is
see if we can get through
involved
the
with
facts.
Epstein.
Let's
I
see
don't
we-
think I don't
okay.
necessarily think he's done anything illegal.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't make the claim you did, but let's
I'm
just
just
go through the
saying.
facts. Do you agree with me that Trump said he didn't sign the letter? He didn't sign that. And do you agree that JD Vance came out with a tweet and said that it was a hoax? That is not correct. It's not correct information. Do you agree with both of those facts?
I agree, but that means shit.
Okay, so if you agree with those facts, then what we have is we have contested evidence. One person says that this is the case, the other one doesn't. So now we're looking for the corroborating evidence to prove one false and one not false.
Like
You're like the
all
guy
the
who
witnesses
comes out
do?
and says, "Oh, that chick over there claims she was raped last night."
No, you goofy.
and then,
no, that is not
and then
the
the guy
same
put him
thing.
in jail,
No.
and then we find
All
out
I'm-
later that never
Did I
happened.
say put him in jail?
No, I'm
All
giving
I
you
said
an
was it looks like
analogy.
it's
Do you know what an
credible.
analogy is? How would you
Andrew,
feel if you didn't
stop.
eat breakfast
Stop
this
it.
morning?
I'm not
How would you
saying-
feel if you didn't eat
I'm not
breakfast this
saying is-
morning?
All I said was the evidence seems a bit credible. I didn't say put him in jail. I didn't
Yeah,
say
the
he
evidence
did it.
also
And I
seems a
sat here
bit
and
not
told you I didn't-
credible.
But
contested.
you just want to play defense for Trump, and it's pathetic.
You just want to play offense on Trump.
JD Vance didn't do it. JD Vance said he didn't do it.
I bet you anything
JD Vance said he
that
didn't
if I
do
go
it.
back through your content and get your takes on Destiny when it was coming out that he was, doing things with underage kids, I bet your take is let's stop and wait till we got more information. I'll bet anything that was your take. Am I going to find that if we go back through your shit? Am I going to find you saying with Destiny to slow down and wait for more illegal? Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question.
Doing anything illegal?
Let me ask the fucking question, Spurg. Shut up, Spurg. If I go back through your shit, shut up, Spurg. If I go back to your shit, stop talking. Stop talking so I can ask the question.
No, you already said the same shit about
all you do is
I'm gonna mute. All right, I'm gonna mute both of you.
Filibustering.
All right,
filibustering.
Mute both of you.
Over and
Still
over.
filibustering.
The two of them are
the
muted.
same shit.
I don't know if they're
still
muted on your
filibustering.
end, but they are on mine. All right, we're all gonna take a deep breath. Oh, they're not muted on your. Okay, it might
Not
just
on
be
our
for me.
end. We can still hear him. No,
Okay.
I was gonna ask Logix. He says
Can I
that
finish
there-
my exchange? Like I want to ask
No,
this guy
unmute
the question.
Andrew.
No, I want to ask him the question, and without him filibustering. Let me ask him the question without him filibustering.
All right, yeah, unmute them.
They're both muted now, I guess. Andrew's still talking. I don't know if
So-
anybody can hear him.
The thing about the birthday book, in my opinion, is that we already that's years old. I mean, we've known about that for a long time.
I've done
I
that.
don't know why
I've
it's
done that
coming
for
to-
Destiny. I've done that for Andrew Tate. I've done that for Candace Owens. I've done that for Donald Trump. I will give them the benefit.
For Trump.
You're just arguing with some
Yeah,
anybody,
fucking
Andrew.
blown
I
out,
said he's
dummy.
not
You got
guilty
blown
of
out,
everything,
dummy.
you
Just sit
fucking
there.
idiot. You're not making any sense. I
You're
literally
blown
said Trump
out.
isn't guilty of everything. You sound stupid as fuck.
You made your point, Andrew. Andrew, you
Logic.
made your point. I want to get this Misfit Patriot. Let me just get this reset. Andrew, you made your point. Okay.
I think that one of the. Oh, sorry.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
I'm trying to get this back onto the Epstein files. I have a question I would like to ask the panel about, but Andrew, Confluent, sorry. Is there something that you wanted to ask about?
Yeah, there's just a brief thing, I guess. Like, I think one of the problems with Trump is that his running defense makes people suspicious of him. Like with the doodle thing as an example, I'm not saying this is proof at all to Andrew and others. I'm just saying that when he's asked about his response was like Prince Andrew's response about how he didn't sweat, where Trump said, well, I don't doodle. And then it comes out that he like does a doodle every year in a charitable way to that organization. So it's like, why say you don't doodle if you doodle every year? Like, it's just the defense is so like, why say that? So it just makes people like me suspicious. I'm not saying it's 100% him.
Let me give you an easy counter here. So, for instance, tonight I have my notes up, right? And I'm taking notes, and the audience can see that I'm taking notes and things like that, like I do in most debates. Now, usually the audience can't see me when I'm taking notes. I usually don't put them up in a way that they can see. So if somebody said, I saw your notes on that debate, and I said to them, look, I don't put my notes up during debates, right? So my recollection is like, I almost never do, right? And most people talk when they talk to each other. That's how they talk. They don't use exact precision with like current event precision with the things that they're discussing, especially when it comes to something as stupid as doodling. Trump
But he
probably
does one
doesn't.
every year, every single year.
Let me finish the point. You ask me a
Okay.
question, I'll
Dude.
finish the point.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, yeah, that's great, right? But this guy probably doesn't actually doodle, and he's probably just like, whatever, who cares? Not even thinking about it in those terms. You though,
You have any idea for that?
the psychotic tinfoil hat person, what they tend to do is they tend to take things that they would give literally excuse anybody else for,
Just roll
and
fucking
hold
fence
some
if you want the motivation.
ridiculously
What the
high
fuck are you
standard
talking
for
about?
somebody else when they
ridiculous
say things
high
off the
standard?
cuff.
Like, you need fucking
I
several
did-
people
I-
watching
I-
these
I-
papers
I-
to match
I can't actually
Can I
do
finish
it.
my exchange before you start
No,
out, lady?
you can't. 'Cause you've
No,
been
I
lying
can't.
the whole fucking time.
It is kind of like
Everyone-
a squirrel. Maybe
Chill for a
close
second.
to
All
the
right,
mic.
Andrew, hold on. Andrew, finish your point.
Yeah. So
she's
anyway,
right. You
well,
can
that's my
follow.
point. I'm just saying that that it seems like people are very uncharitable towards Trump or even towards politicians in general when it comes to their off the cuff statements like that. Right? He probably isn't a doodler, and yeah, fine. Once a year, he does a doodle in something. He doesn't care. He's not even thinking about it
For a
in those
special
terms,
occasion.
man.
It's for a special occasion too. It's not
Don't
like
you
he
think
does
that that's reasonable? Like,
No, I don't. I
Okay.
don't. I
Oh,
think
you
you
don't,
do
of course not.
charitable
I think
doodle.
if-
No,
Hold
I
on,
like
pause
Trump.
real quick.
I
She's
like
right.
Trump.
I know she's right. Wanted to say something. So if you want to speak up, then you can go now.
Why are Republicans blocking the bipartisan effort led by Representative Khanna and Representative Massey to release everything?
Because they keep adding other shit into it.
Well, yeah. So the first release, my understanding was they added that to a Defense Authorization Act.
True.
That's not what I'm asking about.
Yeah. Can you? I'll give you the timeline. Like I can pull the timeline up.
That's not what I'm asking about.
Okay. What are you asking about?
You know exactly what I'm asking about. Do you support the
Okay.
bipartisan effort of Ro Khanna and Massey?
Yeah, I think that all the Trump files should be released to the public, every single one of them, regardless of what they say. Most Republicans, by and large, agree with me. Most Republican constituency, by and large, agree with me.
Most Republicans in Congress don't for some reason.
Actually, what's happened
All
is,
Democrats do.
like when it comes to Kash Patel, there was 3 federal judges which said to Kash Patel that there was a prosecutorial deal which was going on, and there could be very good reasons behind the scenes as to why it is that they're not releasing those files, because it could compromise investigations by the DOJ into other things. Yes, I do. Would you like for us to? Would you like to go through the Kash Patel timeline where he discusses how 3 different federal judges gave injunctions for him doing these releases? You didn't know that? Did you not know that?
That is
Can you
accurate.
answer my question? Shh. Can you answer my question? Did you know that or not, lady? Yeah, take another drink. Did you know it or not?
How do you believe?
Did you know it or not? Did you know that? Can you answer my question? Can you answer my question? Did you know? Did you know that there was federal injunctions or not? Did you know it or not?
Yeah.
Okay. When did that happen? Do you remember that? No. You didn't know. You had no fucking idea. You have no idea what you're talking. Just sit there. Just sit there. Let the adults talk. This is ridiculous. You don't know anything about this case. Nothing. Nothing.
So there's
so let's keep the personal comment. Let's keep the personal attacks to a minimum.
That's not a personal attack. Saying they don't know anything about the case. That's not a personal attack.
The question was, why do Republicans why are Republicans trying to block the Epstein files? And they're not. Like I gave you the answer to that question. Thomas Massey is one of the staunchest supporters of line item things in Congress, and now he's going against his own norms of tying it to different things that he knows. I don't know if you're familiar with the term poison pill, right? Where they just try to throw something in order to get it blocked or to get it voted down, so they can come out and say, oh, look, they're trying to block it. He's basically pulling Democrat tactics on Republicans by saying the Republicans, his own party, which he's not even really part of, he's a libertarian, is trying to block the Epstein files. Again, what Andrew said is accurate. There's also there's a federal case in New York where they've already prosecuted it, and some of the information is redacted, and that information, the New York judge is not releasing. That's not Trump. He has no authority over that.
So just to back up what's being said here, federal judges have repeatedly blocked the release of grand jury materials related to the Jeffrey Epstein case, with U.S. District Judge Richard Berman, the most recent, denying the request by the Trump administration in August of 2025. You didn't know any of this. You didn't know that there has been a concerted effort, not just in a bipartisan wing, but just in the grand jury itself, of releasing that testimony as well. They're trying to get these files out, and you don't know what you're talking about.
They chose the grand jury testimony because it's largely like a few dozen pages of not like there's 90% of it's not going to be released by the grand jury testimony. Grand jury testimony can only deal with the suspect in the case and the direct victim. So if you're talking about people who are, let's say, parties or friends or connections to the perpetrator of the crime, it's not going to be covered by grand jury testimony. The vast majority of the testimony was done away from the grand jury in tiny rooms where suspects or people who are informing the government about what's going on is telling them detail after detail after detail. The vast majority of those trove of documents were not confirmed. And you're right about Burnell, but what he said was the government is the logical party to make comprehensive disclosures to the public of the Epstein files. So Berman, the person you referred to, he said it's the government's job to make this decision to release those files.
And there's a bipartisan effort. Hang on. And there's a bipartisan effort going on right now to get these files released. If Democrats and would have ever done any of these on a clean bill, it might have been a completely different
situation. The discharge petition is a clean bill.
The discharge position, or I'm sorry,
The discharge petition has nothing to
it.
do with defense spending, has nothing to do with anything besides releasing the files. And that's why Lauren Boebert signed on. That's why Thomas Massey signed on. And it is one vote away from going around Mike Johnson. Now,
so you mean there is a bipartisan? So you mean there is a bipartisan effort to move it out?
Right off the bat, there is something else that could stop them from passing the discharge petition, and that's embarrassing it's embarrassing to the Speaker of the House. To have a discharge petition go around him is to undercut his authority. So I'll grant that there might be other reasons for why people might be nervous to sign on to a discharge petition, including undercutting the president and the Speaker of the House. But there is a clean pathway right now to getting that information out. But it means telling Mike Johnson to fuck off.
Yeah,
Yes, but again, but hang on. This would just make my point, that there is a bipartisan effort going on to release the Epstein files. And yes, there's all sorts of tangential reasons why this might not be going on, why it is that they're not releasing them. I'm fully for the release of the Epstein files. I'm sure everybody here is fully for the release of the Epstein files. I'm just saying we don't have a clear picture as to all the other mitigating factors, which is going on, which is stalling the release. Do I think that we're going to get the release of the Epstein files? I have no idea. I sure hope so.
Why do you think they would only request the grand jury testimony and not the vast majority of the testimony that might actually name someone like Trump?
Because it's possible. So here's the truth. And I'm sure that, Dylan, since you've been a war correspondent, you'll probably back some of this up. The United States government has been involved in blackmail operations around the world with various governments for probably 200 years. And one of the tactics that the CIA and the NSA and Mossad and many other intelligence groups like to use, besides just them, is blackmail operations, mostly on Western politicians using underage prostitutes, and they blackmail them. Once they have sex with a prostitute, they then reveal, by the way, that was an underage prostitute. Now they have blackmail on them. Now, the entire Epstein saga is a saga of blackmail. This was a blackmail operation. It was signed on to by multiple governments. And there's probably all sorts of operatives who are in the field right this second who would be compromised by a lot of the material which is in the Epstein files. That's the actual big boy lens in which to view this. Now, I still, even then, support releasing all the Epstein files, but there could be really good national security reasons why it is that no Democrats done it, why no Republicans done it, even though they've had plenty of time to release many of the facts on the Epstein files. They haven't done it, none of them. So just pointing that out.
I do want to, and I mean, I ask this in 100% good faith. Do we know of any high-ranking, either somebody in the Gang of Eight that has been told or like confirmed this, or like, do we have any like evidence to back that up? I know there might be Mossad ties directly between Jeffrey Epstein, but I mean, like, is there anybody in the top position who's come out and like a whistleblower, maybe something of that sort?
I mean, not a whistleblower.
You mean as a high-level CIA agent come out and confirmed that a bunch of top secret information?
If there's anything besides
probably
speculation.
not. No,
Dylan,
no.
listen.
There's a lot of evidence that Epstein himself and getting his fortune wouldn't have even been possible without the intervention of multiple governments. This guy came out of the scene out of nowhere. He did not have the sorts of ties you would normally have, nor the pedigree to amass such a fortune. He was a nobody when he was arrested originally for doing what? For doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing sexually with people. And suddenly the guy becomes extremely wealthy and has all sorts of government connections. Now, what will often happen in these cases is that you get arrested. Once you're arrested, then you're presented with a deal. You start working for us as an informant, et cetera, et cetera. And then they will give you the sweetheart deal. It's exactly what happened with Epstein. So, just the fact that he was in the position he was in, all of that points to having some sort of government backing. The fact that he was bumping elbows with politicians, massive NGOs. And I mean, President Clinton was on his island multiple times. This guy was way too tied in to not have some type of intelligentsia around. Now, you can say that's not a smoking gun, I guess, but it seems like it's a hard fact to dispute.
I think it's also really interesting to point out that when after the 2003 case where he, as Andrew said, was doing bad things with young people, after that his methodology changed completely. It is almost like an operation. He would start recruiting these girls when they were 16 and 17. The second they turned 18, they're off to start hobnobbing with very rich people and very powerful officials in various places, it supports exactly what Andrew's talking about. And that's been proven. That's known with beyond a fact by the victims' own, and we can call them victims, but by these people's own testimony. And by the way, they said they never heard Trump's name. They never saw him. They never met him. They had nothing to do with Trump. So I would.
Do you think that Prince Andrew, Dylan, was in on Epstein Island banging a chick, and that MI6 didn't know about it? You think MI6 didn't know
think he was
that Prince Andrew was down there moving and grooving?
Reeves.
Well,
yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
I think that MI6 knew exactly where Prince Andrew was when he was on that island. So that's why
you have to be asking yourself,
it could probably possibly not care. It wouldn't be the first time intelligence agencies have looked past moral degeneracy of an individual.
But
it's not looking past. It's the fact of the matter is that compromise operations are probably one of the most useful tools against Western governments. You can't do them against Arab governments. You can't do them against Eastern governments because they don't give a shit about age of consent laws. It doesn't bother them. But Western governments do. And so one of the most effective compromising tactics by various intelligence agencies, and I can pull up multiple operations for you that are very similar to this, where they're utilizing people to run Andrew, underage prostitution.
Let's say I grant all of this. Let's say I grant all of this.
Yeah.
I would make, and you said you agree with the release, but I just want to see if we can, touch tips here a little bit.
Let's not never ever say that again, bro. Holy shit.
I'll say it again. But
that's enough to gag a maggot, Dylan. Gag a maggot. Gag a maggot, Dylan. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Epstein files should be released. And if this is the case, that this is going on, then we should stop trying to do these operations to get people by trafficking children and doing that. That this is something that should be shut down. If it's true, even more reason. I mean, if there is a swamp, which Trump refers to and constantly, the swamp epitomized would be a government child trafficking operation to compromise foreign intelligence assets.
Well,
if there's anything Trump should hunt down, it's something like that.
Well, and again, this guy is arrested on Trump's watch, right? And so the thing is that
you don't know anything about it.
Trump also signed an executive order specifically going after underage trafficking. By the way, just so you know, it's been a top priority of the administration. That's the whole point of the illegal immigration crackdown. Where does most human trafficking go through, Dylan? The southern border. Most of it goes through the southern border. And you guys are the first ones trying to pump in as many illegals as possible, keep the border unsecure. That's where all the human trafficking
politically
is.
convenient trafficking then. The one that's
politically convenient trafficking, like leaving our southern border open for a bunch of kids to be trafficked across, Dylan.
I didn't say that I want the southern border open. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, let's keep
I'm
it.
I'm tying it all in. I'm tying it in so that you understand that that this is interrelated. When you're talking about let's shut down human trafficking. Oh, okay, great. You want this the big expose that shows that intelligence agencies do this, even though it's well known, and I can give you the operations which have been declassified over the last 40 years.
Until you expose it.
For the last 40 years. The last 40 fucking years, they've been doing this and declassifying the evidence of it even before that. By the way, let me just point this out. That would shut down a very minuscule amount of human trafficking. You know what would shut down the most amount? Locking down the fucking border. So if you really cared about human trafficking, that's where your focus would be.
Yeah.
Okay, why not both? Why can't we not just, we could stop the politically convenient
all you try to do is block
border
both.
trafficking. I think no child should be trafficked. That's my position.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Except everything that you do, that you guys do, is you like encourage riots in California. You do everything possible to pump it as many illegal immigrants as possible by leaving our southern border completely unsecure. When Texas tried to secure their southern border, the feds came in and tried to shut them down.
Bro, this is about Epstein.
Yeah, we're getting.
Well,
again,
hang on.
I understand you're making examples.
Actually, let's talk about Benghazi.
I'm trying to say, if Dylan really cares about human trafficking.
No, I understand what you're trying to say, and I'm saying fine, shut that down too. But if you're on one hand saying I care about trafficking on the border, but on the other hand aren't willing to be transparent about our government directly participating in trafficking, which is the allegation, then I think you're inconsistent, and you only do it when politically viable.
I say that they need to release the Epstein files. I fully 100% support it.
But that's why I'm putting.
And here's the other thing that's really funny about this. It's only under Christian ethics, my ethical purview, that's even wrong. From your stupid ass utilitarian position, you don't even have a leg to stand on. From your dumbass position, if
We're
it's
not,
the
hold
case
on,
that
Andrew,
they can
that's
compromise,
way.
it's
now
not.
we're
It's
way
hang on. It's
afield.
not. It's
No,
not. I'll
it's.
tie. Like, give me a second to tie it in. Give me a second to tie it in. If
Yeah, I'll
it's
give
the
you like
case,
one. All right,
if
I'll
it's
give you like 1 second.
actually the case that they can compromise an entire nation, an adversarial nation with one underage prostitute on the util calculus, Dylan, you should support that.
I
Just
don't want
saying.
any trafficking of children or use of children in that way for any foreign policy
Not
purpose.
very utilitarian.
By the way,
of you.
why would it be impossible to have it be a 19-year-old and just say they're a 16-year-old, even if you wanted to do that?
Sometimes they do that.
Yeah,
That has been in some of the declassified documents. They have done
Wouldn't
that.
that be
They've
the
taken-
utilitarian position, not to have somebody bang a
It
child?
doesn't actually, hang on, it's not actually as effective. So if you were going to, like, I don't know, blackmail some Western Denmark fucking
I
monarch
can
or
both
something, I
save
don't
my
know.
values and not have them bang children. It's
Yeah,
very
if it-
simple. I do it every day.
It
But if
doesn't
it's
hit
just-
the same,
if it's just a
Dylan. It
question-
doesn't.
Well, what just happened?
Wait, RGR probably don't know she was muted.
Oh yeah, I'm muted. Sorry. I'm gonna move Andrew back in a second. We're just. He was able to make his point. We got to move on.
Well,
Okay.
I've been trying to get this 1 point in, and
Yeah,
it's quick. But
Okay.
Let the
Sorry,
guys
Andrew.
wanna
I
get-
just like you got your second. You made your
This is-
point. We're gonna move on.
this is just to put a finer point on Dylan's.
Wait, hang on. Did you just kick me off the panel?
Well, I removed you for a second because I asked you again. Second rule or first rule: if I'm talking, don't talk. All right. I gave
think
you a
you
lot
were
of
muted,
leeway.
though.
Hang on. I asked for 1 second. You gave me the 1 second. That was it. You didn't have to kick me off the panel.
Sorry, I was muted for a second. I thought that you were speaking over me. I just wanted to. We're moving on the topic. All right, you made your point. It's all good. Yeah, I just did that so we can get back on track.
Didn't you
let's
say
see.
you have questions you wanted to ask?
Yes,
Actually, I
did.
just wanted to. I
Go ahead.
wanted to point
Oh,
I
out.
thank
that-
Riley for personally saving my reputation.
Yes. No, it's definitely because of me. All right, let me ask this. This is something that I've been thinking about. We've been talking about a lot of different kinds of evidence throughout this panel. A lot of the conversations have been very interesting. Something that happened very recently that piqued my interest is that at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, there was Elon Musk sitting with Donald Trump. This is, I believe, one of the first times that they have been seen together since their falling out. During that previous falling out, Elon Musk specifically said that Trump isn't releasing the files because he is not in them, or because he's in them. Do people care about that? Is there any way to ascribe to that? What are people's thoughts?
I think Elon was really, really ultra mega ass pained, and he would have said anything in that moment to stick it where it hurts.
But again,
I
I think it was
Shots.
true, but again, it's just embarrassing for Trump. I just want
But how-
them to have
how
to
would
deal
Elon- how
with
would
the
Elon
fact that
know?
this is embarrassing.
Here's my question.
Yeah, why would
right?
Elon have access to that?
Yeah,
Elon
when-
wouldn't know, and it's played out.
Yeah, when
Like
Elon
we know
was-
his name. We know his name. Sorry, Miss. Hold on. We know his name appears somewhere. He was friends for a bit with him. Like his name's the file. That's such a fucking dipshit statement. He's in the Epstein files. Yeah, obviously. That's
So,
it's such a dipshit played out talking point. Also, and Elon was he's pissed. He's gonna say anything he had to say.
Elon had even come out and said that he made a mistake in saying that, but he might have been doing ketamine and tweeting. It's all irrelevant. But even if you wanted to take his tweet and try to give it some validity, how would Elon even know? That's the question you'd ask. So if you're going to use that type of discernment, then try to steelman the other side's argument, and that's how I would do it. Right? Elon had no idea if Donald Trump's in the Epstein files because he released himself on the flight list. He released his Ivanka's name was on there too. He released his own name in the Epstein files that have been released. So anybody that thinks that Donald Trump has a problem,
That was
with
really early
releasing
on.
releasing himself in there out of embarrassment, then that's debunked right there because he's already.
I don't
put his
know.
own
I'm
name.
not so solidly convinced. I mean, Trump did say that Epstein likes his women on the younger side. So if I was to really take a swinging guess, since we're all speculating right now, my guess would be is not that Trump diddled, right? Even though I'm sure that there's a lot of people who want that to be the case for partisan purposes. But hey, the less diddling, the better. That's my position. I think he probably had an idea of who Jeffrey Epstein was, and as a New York socialite, he kept his mouth shut. I mean, we talked about, like,
he
for
wants-
example, Trump banning Jeffrey Epstein from his properties. He did ban Jeffrey Epstein from his properties, and he's told the story like 3 or 4 times. He said he banned him because he was trying to poach his staff. It didn't have to do anything with his moral improprieties or anything wrong with him there. He partied with the dude. You know, they hung out. Again, he said he liked his women on the
but
younger
he
side.
also-
So
he
I
also
think it would
banned
probably.
them-
So I do think there would, the longer and more detail we have about this. Like, if that letter ended up being true, right now it's inconclusive because Trump says it isn't. The New York Times says it is. You know, the more information that comes up, tying him closer and closer to Epstein, the worse it looks. I mean, the
Okay,
majority of
Dylan,
Americans are unsatisfied with
he
the
said
information
he-
that's come out. The majority of Republicans are unsatisfied.
Dylan, he said that he kicked him out because he was poaching clients, but there's also corroborated evidence from multiple people that knew the situation that he kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was also hitting on the younger girls that were staffers. Like, the younger girls that
Correct.
worked at Donald Trump's club were staffers, and Donald Trump, on top of him poaching them, he was
Very
also
useful
being
omission
inappropriate.
by you, Dylan, by the way.
Okay,
Very
but-
useful
but-
omission.
I want to add some
Very
context,
useful.
though.
Well, I
He
mean,
gets-
hey, maybe that's where he
gets
got the
kicked
fame and he
out.
likes them on the younger side, but he said that before that. So, I
gets
mean, he
kicked
knew he
out
liked younger
from-
women. Maybe just not his younger
Oh my
women.
God! Powerful rich men like to fuck
but
younger
he-
women. Oh my
Yeah,
God!
younger-
That's fucking
I-
news.
I
Oh my
think
God.
16-year-olds should be
Oh,
Younger-
yeah, no,
proposition.
no. That doesn't mean 16-year-olds. You fucking
younger
fuck.
doesn't mean underage.
It doesn't
Talking
mean
about
that
Jeffrey
at all.
Epstein. He
And
said
by the
Jeffrey
way,
Epstein likes younger
big
women.
ass rock stars who are in their 70s are plowing fucking 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Leonardo DiCaprio is plowing a fucking
Jeffrey Epstein
20-year-old.
is not a
Give me
rock star.
break.
Yeah, Leonardo
He's
DiCaprio.
a-
Yeah, he had more money
Jeffrey
than
I
rock
think Trump
stars.
did take his
Jeffrey
time to
Epstein
kick
was
him
an
out, though.
extraordinarily rich man. When Trump is referencing he likes his women a little on the young side. Oh my God. Powerful, rich, powerful men like to fuck young, hot women. Oh, what a revelation. What a revelation.
Weird
Is
thing
it
downside.
true that Donald Trump was or was not an FBI informant?
He
It's,
said
probably,
that,
it's
no, he
likely
worked with-
true. It's likely true that he's been an FBI informant or an intelligent informant multiple times. It's likely
For the
true.
Jeffrey Epstein case specifically?
He worked.
We don't
with
know.
Trump.
We don't know. We don't know if that's
We know
true. or
What
not.
what was Mike Johnson talking about when he said that to the press that Caroline Leavitt later retracted? Because
I will
I mean, he
clarify.
retracted it
and now
too,
look,
though.
this is why I want the information out. I can't conclusively say anything about Epstein right now and Trump because we don't have all the information. It's
Dylan,
it's locked away. But
Dylan,
if it
I'll
is
answer your
true
question.
that the Jeffrey, let me finish this quickly and then I'll let you respond. I'm sorry. But if it is true that Donald Trump was an informant on the Epstein case and either Caroline Leavitt's lying, maybe Mike Johnson telling the truth, we don't know. But if that is the case, he'd have to have some knowledge that would have been of use to the FBI. That's what I want to know. If he was involved in bringing down Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump was more intimately involved in the case than many of us might know currently. So I want that information out there.
Sure, I'll answer your question.
Yeah, but I mean that
well,
could compromise.
Let me-
That
Andrew,
could
I'll
compromise certain investigations that perhaps these informants led to other things. For instance, the information of Trump, it could compromise testimony. Like you don't know. You don't know
Didn't the
exactly.
FBI release a two-page document saying they wouldn't
Let
go
me-
after anyone else, that they had no
let me-
plans of
Let
prosecuting
me
anyone else?
answer-
I
let
didn't
me
say it.
answer Dylan's question. I'll answer Dylan's question. Donald Trump worked with the prosecutor for the Jeffrey Epstein victims. The prosecutor was working in conjunction with the FBI. That is where the confusion came from. Donald Trump has also been deposed by I can't remember if it was the FBI or if it was the arresting department when he was arrested in 2019. Donald Trump gave statements to that effect when he was asked about his relationship. So you have prosecutor in the civil case, and you have working with the arresting officials in 2019. So yes, but that does not mean he's an actual FBI informant. He's just been cooperating.
I remember hearing for years leading up to this big, I guess, kerfluffle. It's now just gotten a lot of attention that Trump was an FBI informant when bringing this up. And I never really gave it much water because I didn't see anything on. I just heard it kind of spuriously kind of thrown around. Then Mike Johnson said it, who's the Speaker of the House. Maybe he misspoke. Maybe you're right, and he got it out there. But that means so far the messaging, Pam Bondi fucked it up, Kash Patel fucked it up, Dan Bongino fucked it up, Mike Johnson fucked it up. Is there anybody in Donald Trump's immediate circle that knows not to make it look like there's a ton of smoke around him on this issue? Because it doesn't seem any of them can.
It doesn't matter what they say, they're
We're
gonna
back to
say
the
this, though.
original. Yeah, we're back to the original stupid, annoying point of, well, they just fumbled the release. It's like that's not an
I mean,
accusation.
when we're
Who gives a
releasing
shit?
information,
Who-
Kash Patel
who
fumbled
cares?
the release on an active suspect when it comes to somebody who just shot
Okay,
Charlie Kirk.
yeah.
This can have implications in
Well,
other cases as
if
well.
you think that that's enough, right? I want to hear, what are you actually accusing these people of? Because what you're doing right now is just making a speculation.
I'm accusing them
you
of
say,
trying to brush it under the rug,
case,
that they don't want to take any more looks at it. I'm accusing them of not wanting to have the conversation about it, either because it's embarrassing or because what you're saying. Either way, we should know. And you agree with that. So I don't see what the problem is.
Can I ask you something?
No, that's not what you're saying. What you're doing is you're implying that there's some sort of nefarious wrongdoing going on and a cover up.
I'm saying that there's enough smoke
on,
that there's no
my
problem
turn,
taking a
Dylan.
look.
My turn, Dylan. And that the whole idea here is that it's due to some sort of impropriety that this is going on rather than good reasons behind it. And that's because of your progressive inclination to state emphatically that anything that this administration does, it's doing for nefarious reasons.
Okay,
If they're just
Dylan,
incompetent,
respond.
shouldn't
He's
you
right,
fire them?
Dylan. Grid Motorsports. Go ahead.
Was that me, or did you pass it to Grid?
Sorry, she's right. Say what you need to, then Dylan, you can respond. Then Grid, I know you wanted to
gotcha.
cut in and say something.
Yeah, even if it's not necessarily indicative of corruption, it's at the very least then indicative of miscommunication and incompetence repeatedly from several parties. And even in good faith, isn't that enough cause to potentially fire
You
these
can't
people?
fire
And if
people
not,
for
why are they being
incompetence in
protected?
the federal
Look, if your
government. You should know
criticism
that
is
by now.
is that you want Pam Bondi to get fired, I want her to get fired too. I don't want any
Me
fucking
too.
women in that
Right.
job. I want her now tomorrow. Okay, so like you're preaching to the choir there. I want
Why?
Trump's faith advisor fired too. I want that bitch out of there. But the thing is like all
Why?
of that aside, just if the whole position here is just, well, he released things in a way that makes him look like a fumbling, incompetent boob. It's like, okay, all right, but that's not really an accusation of wrongdoing, is it? It's just an accusation of like there's some incompetence in the administration and fire the women, which I'm all about firing the women in the administration. Trump
Why?
hires way too many women in the administration, in my opinion.
Why?
But
You can leave
right.
Carolyn Levitt, though, right? Please leave
she's
her
right.
alone.
She's right, Joe. Do you think that Pete Buttigieg should have been fired for all of the train derailments that happened during the Biden administration? Would you consider that incompetence?
I would have to look into the details of that and then see to what extent is that dependent on the direct actions and
Well,
responsibilities of someone in
let's
that role.
say-
And if that's
let's say
anomalously high, then yes, absolutely.
Okay, so what you're saying is you think that incompetence should be led to the termination of an employee. Okay, I think that you're right, but I don't think that you were given the same energy during the Biden administration when pretty much everybody in his whole entire cabinet was incompetent on a weekly basis.
Yeah, let's talk
So
about
it's showing your
they're
bias.
so incompetent, in fact, that a poll comes out 2024 and then again 2025 where 90% of independents, 65% of Republicans think that Biden's too incompetent to do the job, only 34% of Democrats. Let's not talk about who's competent here. If the highest administration in the land can't even tell that the person who's the president doesn't know where he is and goes hubba dabba ding dong every time he's out in public. Like, you people have no leg to stand on about competency.
Albania,
Azerbaijan, media and
Albania,
I care about the actual
Azerbaijan.
actions.
Yeah.
And we have in the Trump administration, at the very least, you're all admitting like clearly there was an intent and an action and an agenda that was then gone against in potentially accidental ways by several key members, and they've kept on board. Like, that's not about what people think they're incompetent or not. Like, it seems to be that they're failing their duties and the will
Sure,
of-
and it's
Yeah, but
incredibly
think about
hard to
this, think
fire
about this.
government people.
If Trump goes through and he fires all these people for incompetency, do you think that the left's going to be like, oh, okay, that was good? Or do you think that the left's just going to come out and say, hey, Trump can't hold on to staff because he's such an inept leader? That's what they'll actually run with. Stop bullshitting, sweetheart. I've seen this shit a million times.
That is
I've
what
seen
they
this
would
shit a
say.
million times.
I agree with Andrew there.
That would be right no matter what.
100%.
That's the kind of thing where even people are critical, and it's actually about doing what's right and best for the job, you would still work out anyway.
You've
never fired anyone.
Heads you win, tails I lose. That's how it works with that. He fires them all, then you say he's so incompetent he can't get good staff, or he keeps them all, he's so incompetent he can't fire bad staff.
Speaking for myself,
he's just not allowed to work. He's not allowed to win. Not allowed.
Yeah, firing is never necessarily a good thing. It means there's been a failure.
Well, I mean, not always. It's not always for.
If you fire somebody, that
Speaking for
usually means they
myself,
did
it
a
would
bad job.
be
So
able
you could
to
always
actually
be for the job. That's an admission of failure.
A person
So yeah,
could be,
of course,
a person could be doing the job.
situation.
A person could be doing the job and even doing it well, and you find someone who's just more qualified than they are, do it even better. That doesn't mean they're failing, Dylan.
But we're talking about
Speaking for
firing over
myself, it would-
incompetence.
Incompetence isn't always
No, we
failure
weren't.
either.
You
We were. We were saying if the problem
Dylan,
is
you
firing
bring it-
Pam Bondi because incompetent, great. I hate women. Like, so it's like they fucking good.
Dylan,
Fire them.
if
Incompetent.
it's the
We
case-
agree.
Yeah, if it's the case, though, that Trump fires him for incompetence, isn't the head story going to be Trump can't keep staff? Trump can't keep a.
Who
He's
cares?
be. He
Well,
picked a bad attorney general.
somebody like
Is that
Pete
a
Hegseth,
logical
no,
reason to keep an
FBI
incompetent person
director.
around
Of
because you
course,
don't want the
because he made a bad
headlines?
choice.
Really?
Now
No,
it's
heads
easy
you-
for it as a country. Heads you win, tails I lose. So Trump fires him, he's in trouble.
Maybe you
He
should have
doesn't
picked people
fire
with
him, he's in
experience
trouble.
what they were doing or keeping a consistent
He wouldn't be in
narrative. That's
trouble.
his
He would have the
problem.
best
I mean,
people
you would
to
win
do
in
his
that race,
job.
though, Andrew, right?
It's
I love
true.
it when
Nothing
four
Trump
people
could
talk,
do would
'cause I
get
can
the
only hear
left
one
off
of
his
you.
back. That is true.
That's awesome.
So who
Hey,
would
I think we
why
can
would
all
he
agree
do
with
that?
that, right?
So
If he
awesome.
would have fired
Thank
Why
somebody
did he
like
want the
Pete
best
Thank you.
Hegseth,
Stop.
that would
Stop.
give him a little bit more respect, in my opinion, instead of like firing people that's like doing their job that's Democrats that
Well,
he
you
don't
don't
like.
know if they're doing.
It'll be
if
more
they're doing it
respectable to fire
incompetently,
people
they're
that's
not doing their
actually fucking
job.
up.
I mean,
Trump,
who
Trump
here has
fired so many people. Trump
fired
did
a
that
lot
in his
of
first
people.
administration. In his
It was
first
very good.
administration,
It's a
he was
very easy
firing
job.
somebody every week. No. We already have a real world scenario where this already happened, and we watched your response. Trump's first administration, he was firing people every
Yes.
fucking week, and you
Because
guys
they
were
didn't
saying that he
listen
was.
to him.
You were saying he was exactly. You see what Andrew's right. It's heads I win, tails
Yeah,
you lose.
absolutely.
If Trump fires
100%.
people, you will say he's incompetent. If he doesn't fire people, you will say those people are incompetent and he should fire them. So we can
is
say
the
he's
big-
incompetent.
Misfit.
If you were running
It's
a company,
heads
and
you
have to get
win, tails I
80%,
lose.
like,
That's
They overrate
right.
for the top of your administration. You're going to get critiqued for it. They're going to say, "Oh, there was a problem here. You had to change it."
Sure.
So I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lose-lose situation because he
there's
set
just
himself up to lose.
there's just
But it would
no
be better-
charitability.
Just lose.
It'd be better to get the failure out of the way and acknowledge it and move on. That'd be much better for the country.
Yeah, whatever.
Again,
I
it's
mean, it's
pretty
just
hard to fire
it's a
federal
complete
employees.
lack of charitability
Well,
that you
I
would give
actually-
that you would give to
He
one
said
of
I'd
your
be
guys.
happy if you fired Tulsi. I gave an exact name of the person I'd want gone too. It
I
isn't
think
surprising
Pam
who I'd
Bondi
But
want.
not Pam Bondi. You want Pam Bondi?
I want Pam
there
Bondi
and
gone
Tulsi
too. Just
fired?
Tulsi's the top of my list. Personal grudge.
Personal grudge. All right.
Why you don't
Hey,
like?
I have a
Why don't you like?
question,
Why don't you like
Dylan.
Tulsi?
I've been
Dylan?
wondering this because
Same reason as you. I don't like women in government, Andrew. What did you think?
Yeah, I knew that.
Based
Yeah, I knew that. Hey,
based
I have a
answer.
question.
Hey, I don't
Dylan,
mind. I don't mind
and-
women in government. We need people to cook the president's food. I mean, what do you mean? That sounds like a government job.
Dylan and whoever else. Why do you think it is that all of the clear-cut, provable information that we've gotten out of the Epstein files all implicate UK officials? Why is that?
I know recently there was a release on the Duchess that the Royal Duchess over there publicly like announced that Jeffrey Epstein was like a fiend and a scoundrel, but then privately like sent him a letter like, "Oh, I'm so sorry I said that. I just wanted to be able to keep publishing my children's books." I think it's because he was an extremely powerful individual and people.
But why not
I think
Sweden?
royals,
Why not
politicians,
France,
these people,
Germany?
and this is a sad truth. I think politicians and people of power are more predisposed to be pedophiles. I think people who want to have that type of power over children also generally want to have that type of power over other people as well. That they're
Well, that's
power
interesting.
fiends, that they're obsessive people. And I think that's part of the reason why I want this much transparency when it comes to government officials, because it goes from the state level to the national level to the local level.
Okay.
Is it because such a disproportionate amount of them are homosexuals too, Dylan?
Yeah, I don't know
No.
about that, but hey,
No.
Dylan,
Are you sure, Dylan? Are you sure?
No.
Not for
No.
not for nothing. Not for nothing. And I'm not saying we should take her word for it, but Ghislaine Maxwell did come out with audio testimony just a few weeks ago, I think it was, and she was talking about how there was a connection between Epstein and MI6. Epstein had Prince Andrew. Epstein had Virginia Guffrey, and there is a huge connection to the UK government. So
and it leads credence to him working with these intelligence agents.
I was trying to interject this to an earlier point Dylan made, where it's like, why doesn't the American government do this? And my answer would be, hey, maybe it's not the American government. Maybe the vast majority of these operations weren't the CIA. Maybe it was MI6. Maybe it was Mossad. Maybe it was this all these other agencies, and they can't release something that would get them into trouble with maybe allied partnerships between other nations. So there's many hypotheticals of maybes, but if you look at the evidence based off of what the connections are to Jeffrey Epstein, it's not the Jews. It's actually a lot of MI6 and UK.
It's all the UK.
figures.
Like everything that can be proven 100% is all UK based. Why is that?
Yeah.
Do we
I
all
don't know.
agree
If
then
it
on
is
this
MI6,
panel?
even more reason. We get to pin this on the British. That's what you're telling me. Even more reason to release this. Are you kidding me? If it's the British,
Do we
if
all
it's the
agree that
Americans, if it's
Jeffrey
anyone.
had
I mean, it's not like Donald
Mossad
Trump has ever
ties?
showed extreme
Yeah,
prudence
actually-
when it comes to respect for the Five Eyes alliance. He didn't tell Five Eyes for a lot of American action. If he wants to be the personal crusader against Diddling, I'd be all for it, including going after the British, including going after the royal family. Democrat, Republican, go after Diddling.
Well, hang on, Riley. Give me a second to make the case. It's going to sound off topic, but it's not. I'm going to tie it in very quickly.
Okay, you got a second.
So,
I'll give it to you.
okay, so You are a Ukraine war correspondent. You know that right now propaganda for the Ukraine, positive propaganda, is assisting them with their war effort. You would agree that that's true, right?
That British propaganda is assisting Ukraine?
No, that's not what I said. That positive propaganda for Ukraine is assisting Ukrainian war efforts, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. I would agree that that's true. It just logically tracks. What if it's part of the Ukrainian government, though, and their intelligence or small intelligence agency, which was being used as a filtration system of money towards Jeffrey Epstein? And if that came out at this critical time, it would compromise their war effort. Would you fucking support it then?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't believe you. I think you're full of shit.
Okay, well, then you can just not believe me.
I think that it's the case that when you start to tie it all in, you start to realize how many different nations were likely involved when you look at the roster of the people who went to Epstein Island. And that's just the speculative roster. But remember, the Lolita Express had 200 passenger seats in it, and they were flying them onto a separate island. I think it was at
even
Saint.
More reason that
but
it's
anyway,
worth it anyway.
They were flying them over and putting them on a boat, and then from the boat going over to Epstein Island. Thing is that a lot of governments probably are putting political pressure on our government as well not to release those files. Otherwise, Dylan, why wouldn't they? MI6 and others have access to lots of those files too. They're not releasing them.
Oh yeah.
Guess what else? The Israelis aren't releasing anything. Guess what else? Ukrainian money backers who likely were filtering money for various Epstein shell corps, which would make sense because they were the most corrupt fucking government on earth, and where most shell companies were part.
Okay.
Where most shell companies were part.
Number three.
Okay.
Country,
yeah, they were one of the most corrupt governments on earth.
Well,
I mean, for God's sakes, we know what happened with Hunter Biden. The thing is like, look, many governments are likely involved in this if this was an actual compromise operation. So there's probably a lot of shit going on there that you're not being charitable about anyway,
Look,
or just being disingenuous about it.
Interviews with draft dodgers. I've published testimony about officers like stiffing people out of pay. I'm willing to publish information that doesn't make the Ukrainian government look good. And if it means that there'll be less diddling or abuse of children or any of this type of gross behavior, then I'm in support of it. I want the information to be transparent. And look, it's not that hard to believe, Andrew, that me as a content creator, it'd be easy for me to want the motivation to go over more stuff that I could talk about and go transparent and have a full take on my show. I mean, even if you wanted to make it like a cynical take, it could just be financially motivated in some way. But there's a million motivations that could push me to say, yes, I want the information out there.
Well, let me ask it a different
way. Even if it
way.
makes the Ukrainians look good or makes the Ukrainians look bad, this so far makes the United States look bad. If it includes other countries, it includes other countries.
Let's say you had a crystal ball and you were able to look in the crystal ball and see that if this information came out, it turned out that the Ukrainian government under Zelensky and pre-Zelensky or Zelensky involvement somehow tied into this, that they were assisting in filtering money via shell corporations through Ukraine in order to fund Pedo Island. And you saw that would cost them the war effort against Russia. Would you do it then?
So if Petro Poroshenko, because it wouldn't be Zelensky, because Zelensky was after Jeffrey Epstein.
That's not what I said. I said, or somehow tied in.
But on principle, I'd have to do it. I mean, I wouldn't like it, but I'd have to.
Even though it would cost them the war effort.
On principle, I don't want that to be the case, but I have to. If you're not dedicated,
isn't that
to truth,
the more
journalism is the first
position from your
draft history? You have to stand on something principally, dude.
But isn't that the more unprincipled position?
Or I stand on nothing. If you're not willing to die something, you don't really believe in it.
Bro,
you're a utilitarian.
Yeah, that's the more unprincipled position, though, from a utilitarian
I believe the information should go out into the public. I'm sorry. If you don't want that, that's my position. I think this is something that should be easy for me to take a stance on. I believe all the information should be out to the public.
So I think what Andrew just did was like what was the trolley problem, where it's like, okay, you're going to give Ukraine to Putin by exposing this now, or you could give it, or you could hold on it and wait and maybe release it later. And that's you're saying.
No. The principle that I'm getting
if there's a scenario where I can hold it and release it later to save Ukraine, I'd probably take that option. But if that's not what he said either release it or not, or don't. Like those are two options. Entailed, even though obviously I could do exactly what you said.
But it's entailed. But it's entailed. And the thing is like I'm just looking at it from purely your utilitarian view, and I don't get it.
Look, you're saying like you're making
calm down for 2 seconds.
Impossible scenario where we couldn't release it later.
It's not impossible. I'm just testing
impossible scenario. So maybe you think it seems fanciful, but it's my opinion.
I'm only testing the logic of the view from a utilitarian perspective. If it would cost the entire war effort against Russia,
somebody could be a rules-based utilitarian. By the way. You can have certain rules and still be
And rules-based utilitarianism
think
reduces to
something like that
utilitarianism.
is a line I'm willing to draw in the sand. If no one else here is willing to do that, okay.
But Dylan, you realize that what you just said was you would, in my scenario, hold off on it in order to maybe save more people, and that could be the same view.
If holding on it for a year could save millions of lives, then yeah, I think I would be able to say we can be transparent about this with some conditions. If it means we still get the information out, we still bust up the circle because we're talking about millions of lives. But ultimately, I would not make any decision that would mean we hold back on that principled transparency.
Let me do this. What if this is a real possibility? What if this administration is holding off on releasing certain files because there is named perpetrators that were tied to Jeffrey Epstein that they don't want to release information that would fuck up a case where they could put them in jail and save maybe
like some generals or some
hundreds or more.
If this is proven later, then and that they're getting more people, that they're getting more pedophiles, and that in about 3, 4, 5 years we'll see that there's Jeffrey Epstein Operation 2.0 Electric Boogaloo, then I'll be like, great, I'm happy they did it. If the only way they could do it is by keeping their mouth shut and taking the heat. But that's pure speculation.
But hang on, everything you're saying is pure speculation. So then it is possible that right now you're actually
we're in speculation territory.
Hang on. So right now it is possible that you're actually undermining the capture of more pedophiles by speculating the way you are. Is that correct?
If this is the case, I don't think I'm undermining it by calling for its release. They can just ignore me and do it
anyway. How would that not be undermining
Because if my release is conditioned on the idea that it can catch more pedophiles, then there's no problem.
So, but no, the undermining would be if you put that out to your audience, they put it out to these people, and then they all are making these endless demands. That would actually be undermining the very position, right?
I mean, I'm not undermining the position. If you just asked me, and I said, if they're going to catch more pedophiles, and this is the only way to do it, then fine. But the Trump administration said they would release it. Then they didn't. People are going to ask questions about it.
Yeah, look, I'm all for them releasing the Epstein files. I'm just pointing out that you've always been inconsistent in your utilitarian view, one, and two, that what's been brought up here by Misfit Patriot, by myself, is that there could easily be tangential reasons that we're unaware of as to why it is when you consider
tried to find an inconsistency, and then you just didn't accept what I said. And then
no, we found the inconsistency is with the utilitarian view itself. If you are willing to draw the line in the sand. If you're willing to draw the line in the sand, even though it costs X amount of negative utils, then guess what? That's not a consistent utilitarian view. One, that's one. But two, to tie it back in, we just demonstrated for you at least one thing that maybe you should take away from this conversation, which is that if there's a multitude of governments which are involved in a blackmail operation, and that seems to be what the narrative has been for a long time, then they're probably also putting political pressure on our government not to release these files because it could be very embarrassing for them or for people who work for them, and it could compromise them as well. That's the overview of the big boy picture of the let's take a look at it from the bird's eye view. Do you agree that that's a possibility, Dylan?
It's a possibility, but then we both agreed anyway that this should be released anyway.
Yeah, I'm for their release, but I also understand that I'm not going to undermine the greatest president of my time because you're not getting your little filey-wileys quickly enough, Dylan. I'm not going to do it.
Well, then maybe he shouldn't promise things quickly. Peace in 24 hours. He makes a lot of promises.
He doesn't deliver on.
He said he wasn't going to be like the other politicians, and he lied like the best.
Yeah, whatever. It wouldn't matter what he said. You demonize him anyway.
Think about what Trump actually did say, though, because Trump never promised to release the Epstein files in his campaign. He never put it on any of his rally tours. He was asked in an interview. He mentioned it twice, once on Fox and Friends with Rachel Campos Duffy, where he said, yeah, I'll look into it and I will release. But he never said, I'm going to release every single thing that I possibly have, even if it undermines certain other operations, certain other cases. True. He said, I'll release the files. What I think he was implying is, I'll give you what I can, which is what most presidents would do. No president is going to be held to a standard of an interview where he says, yeah,
he hasn't given us what he can.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, the judge that was brought up by Andrew earlier said that it's the government's discretion.
Yeah,
so he can. You're just saying that the consequence is so mighty for this what we're speculating about right now that he's just choosing not to as president.
Okay, but here's what they have released, right? They released about 80,000 documents. They released Ghislaine Maxwell audio interview. They released the flight logs. They released, even though Trump was even in them, they released everything that they had. And then, if you believe Pam Bondi, which I don't fucking really recommend, there was a bunch of files that she was told were at the New York field office that they never got. And I think what happened was she just jumped the ship and tried to get on Fox News and get a little airtime, and she called it too early because they found out that they actually don't have those other files. So again, I'm not giving credit to them and like benefit of doubt or covering. I'm saying there are no files or no other files that they can release responsibly, and they have given you everything that they can release responsibly. They have given you all of the Epstein files. The grand jury testimony, that's under the purview of the judge who has blocked it. That's like, we've already gone over this.
But hang on, but maybe we can get to the heart of this again, because we just seem to be going over the same ground over and over and over again. So maybe we could just like get right at the heart of this thing. So here's the universal agreement I think we all have. We all want to see the Epstein files. Everyone's in agreement there, right? Got it. Yes. Okay, so we all want that to be released. We're all in agreement that the administration fumbled their release with what they did with the creators and kind of Pam Bondi's doublespeak and all this type of shit. They definitely fumbled that. We can all agree on that too. Okay, great. Yeah. So we all agree on that. Okay, so the thing is like, why? So here's my question. Why, though, is this going to make me turn on Trump? If it's not going to make me turn on Trump, if you're not going to give me some compelling reason to turn on Trump, why do I give a shit about this other than, yeah, don't fucking do that next time, Trump?
Andrew, you wouldn't turn on Trump if he fucking fucked your wife. You wouldn't do it anyway. So, like, just...
I wouldn't turn on him if he fucked your wife, but I would turn on him if he fucked mine. I don't know why
you're pretending like you would turn on Trump in any circumstance.
I wouldn't say you should turn on Trump.
I have very clear conditionals for things that I'll accept from the administration and won't accept from the administration. And most MAGA people are this way as well. The problem is that you guys lie so consistently and have tried to prosecute this guy over nothing so many times that we're just beyond giving a shit. We're beyond giving a shit about what your opinions
Andrew, I would say
you call him a fascist, you call him a Nazi, you call him all kinds of crazy shit.
You can at least criticize him more. I'm not saying that this should like make you disloyal to Trump, but you could at least criticize him more and call him out more when he says stuff like saying that it's a Democrat hoax. I mean, you don't believe that. You said you believe the Epstein files should be released. So
that's not a Democrat hoax. No. What he was referencing there was the all the rumor mongering by Democrats that he was named in the Epstein files, and it was a big cover up by him because he didn't want that released. That's what he was referencing as the hoax. And this is exactly what I mean by why I don't fucking trust liberals. I've been watching for the last 2 weeks. I've been tangling up with TikTokers. Now, this last week, after Kirk was assassinated due to left-wing, the
fake
horrific
news,
nature
proven, no evidence,
of
no
left-wing, of left-wingers.
Where's the evidence? Prove it.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Tons of evidence.
You don't know.
There's tons
of
evidence.
No,
he was with a fucking he was with a transgender. What are you talking about?
Conservatives don't date trans people. What you think? Only liberal people date trans people?
There's mountains.
I basically do.
I only do. You really believe that?
Yeah.
Hold
on. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I only believe that progressive liberals date trans people. I think it's an entailment. I think it's an entailment, bro.
Dumbest shit I've ever heard.
I think it's an entailment. So anyway, that aside, to finish the point, let me land the point.
Hold on, Andrew, let Mr. Patriot go ahead.
Can I just finish? I was almost done.
I'll kick their.
No, I'm just saying this, right? I'm just saying this because you guys jump in and cut me off every single time I start talking.
They've looked into it. They have nothing. Okay, this is reported by all the major news sources. Fox and right of that.
You should really move closer to your mic. I honestly can't hear you.
This is going to take 2 seconds. The evidence.
He's right. You are cutting out of it. Sorry, I just want. Yeah.
The evidence is his friend has confirmed that he was far left, and his family has confirmed that he was far left. Both people have confirmed he's far left.
The friend story was retracted. The friend couldn't
He
remember.
wrote anti-fascist stuff on the bullet casing.
shit.
How is this
No
a debate? He was obviously far left.
That was from Helldivers, though.
What?
That was from
How was
Helldivers.
that? He wrote Bella Ciao,
Dude is on the left. Dude is on the
on the
That's not
bullets.
sufficient.
Yeah,
That's
he had
not
left
How is that not
ideologies.
sufficient? What right winger
Those
would
are
write
not-
an anti-fascist
Those are
song
not
from
necessarily
Italy?
None of them.
deductively indicative of what you claim. There's no evidence linking them.
Oh, come on. That's cope. That's so much cope.
Droid say that shit all the time.
But anyway, the point
No,
that I
they
was
don't.
It's
the
rare
point
I
that I
get
was
to see
making-
such an
Yes, they
overdose of copium.
The point that I was
Really
making
don't.
is there's no reason, because of how often you lefties will take these people out of context, like what you've done with Charlie Kirk and the things that he said, taking him out of context to make it sound like he was saying black women shouldn't vote, all kinds of shit that he never said. And you just lie about it so
Yeah, that's enough
openly
that he
on
said.
TikTok
You're lying
that
to
it's
that.
insane.
You
That's
just
not what he
made up
said.
something
He
Charlie
listed
never
several black
said.
women and said some awful shit about them, and we all know.
Bro, do you hear what I just said? I have the video proof. I've been arguing with leftists on TikTok for a week straight.
TikTok is a different place. Like, we're not here to defend TikTokers, bro. And this is about Epstein.
Then why don't you listen to what I'm saying?
Bro,
don't
you
just
brought
listen
up
to
TikTok
respond.
just
Listen
try
to what's
shit
being
on the
said.
left. You're saying shit that's irrelevant.
I'm
to
saying
this
that
topic.
you fucking people lie so much about what people
people
say
lie
that it's
about what is
difficult
your
for me to
shooter.
believe a word
I'm
you
not
say.
talking about what we're
You're
saying
blind
here. You talking about people
I am
on
talking about what
TikTok.
you're saying here.
No, you brought up TikTok.
Oh yeah?
to try to shit
Okay, well
on the
here,
left.
let's just
You don't
ask
give a
you.
fuck about
Let's just ask
TikTok.
you. Was Charlie Kirk a racist?
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Can you give me
Yeah,
a single
actually,
demonstration? Yeah, there we
There we
go.
go.
There we go.
Everyone
Every fucking time.
pause.
Now tell me.
We're officially too
what
far afield.
would
We are
lead
now
you to
Andrew.
believe that?
Andrew Logic's now everyone. We are now way officially too far afield, but I think this is a good pivot into the last kind of question I want to ask, because we're at an hour and 20 and some change. So let me ask this related to Charlie Kirk, because this is something else I want to talk about tonight. So I've also seen, as of recently, a lot of discussion online about the fact that, and again, this is not my position, I've just seen this conversation happen, that the Charlie Kirk assassination shifted a lot of public discourse away from the Epstein files. And notably, Charlie Kirk strongly called for the release of the Epstein files. So I'm curious if any of the panels have any thoughts about the circumstances. Do any of you give any weight to any of the conspiracy theories, or is it just a coincidence?
It's probably a coincidence. I mean, because
Coincidence.
you'd have to go and say that the shooter shot Charlie Kirk because he was trying to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein files, threw his whole life away so that he could take focus away from the Epstein files. It's not logical. But you know, the conspiracy theory point, there is so many already in this Charlie Kirk thing, and we're getting into this thing where there's this new culture that's emerging, like conspiracy culture. And I have said this before. I think that the conspiracy culture that is going on are just as responsible for radicalizing people that the college indoctrinations or online indoctrinations that may have inspired and radicalized the person who shot Charlie Kirk, right? It gets people paranoid. It gets people into this whole false reality that things are like, this is what Andrew was just saying. If you lie and lie and lie and lie, if you call people a fascist, right? Why wouldn't you kill a fascist, right? If Charlie Kirk was a general in Donald Trump's Nazi army, you'd want to shoot him.
Of course.
Right? So,
right, exactly. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. And so but the point of me bringing up what these massive left-wing accounts on TikTok are saying, oh, it got nothing to do with me, is to point this out. And it's very important that I point this out, that the left-wing propagandists have done everything they can to recharacterize what's actually said so that they can lie about it. They do the same thing with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Like you're doing now.
Right.
How am I recharacterizing what
Y'all
you
created,
said?
oh, maybe they're hiding stuff, you know, it could damage the reputation of the country and all this. That's why they're keeping the files a secret. Like, all that shit that you concocted is the
I mean,
same.
that's a possibility, at least,
I know,
right?
but-
That's a sensible theory.
Those weren't
But I'm
our
saying they're
positions.
engaging in the
doofus.
same behavior.
Those
they're
weren't our
criticizing is my
positions,
point.
doofus.
I don't.
Oh my God.
So there's
How
a difference
fucking dumb
between-
are you? Listen, because I can explore
Okay.
the idea of a hypothetical, entertain it, that does not make it my position. I've repeatedly called for the Epstein files to be released.
Still engaging in the same behavior you're criticizing.
How would that be doing that? Engaging in a hypothetical would be the opposite of that, doofus.
That's critical thinking, not conspiracy theory.
Critical. All right.
I would say the only sensible thing to break the silence that you would have to hold to about what the moderator asked is if Charlie Kirk's shooter was Mossad, and then Epstein was also Mossad, and then so they're covering it up to like, and that theory, which to me, that's like too conspiratorial brained. That's the only thing I could even posit that could make sense. Otherwise, I think it's just a coincidence.
I honestly can't add anything without being really, really rude and mean, so I'm just going to be really quiet.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fine if people don't have as many thoughts. I was also curious because this also came to me that who is it? There's a really big notable figure, a large Republican figure who came out and is saying that it was all a hoax or that it was a conspiracy. Who is it?
There's too many of them.
Candace Owens. Recently.
Candace Owens. She's off her rocker. I mean, I don't know what's going on with her.
Wait. I didn't know I would get a chance to shit on Candace Owens, but I'm not going to shit on Candace Owens here in front of liberals. That would be inappropriate.
Yeah, that would be inappropriate. But
I will. Candace Owens needs to be in a padded fucking room.
Never shit on a right winger in front of progressives, bro. Ever.
All right, fine.
Bro code. But
improprietus.
Epstein's friends stick together.
Hey, Misfit, do you also think women should stay away from administrative
clever.
positions in government?
I didn't hear the question. What?
I just wanted to know, do you think that women should stay in like administrative positions in government? Do you think that's a good role for them, or like housemakers mostly?
Yeah,
this is also pretty afield. I'll give you 1 second. Same direction.
I'm not as misogynistic as Andrew. I think they can work in whatever they want. But I am more traditionalist, where I think if they want to be
you guys realize that was a meme, by the way,
yeah,
right?
Like, is that Andrew? That's something I'd believe you'd believe.
Why? Based on what?
I mean,
based on what?
Seems your demeanor, just the way that
you're based on
the fact I've heard you say that before, Andrew. I mean,
if you read the Bible,
there's
sections about it as homemakers that I think
you said that women shouldn't hold positions in government.
Never once.
Okay, maybe I'm mistaken. I swear to God, I've heard you say that.
The reason that you guys, what happens is, again, typical left wingers, they attribute quotes that aren't mine to me.
No, I watch a lot of you. I watch a lot of you.
What's that,
I'm
Dylan?
not meaning to do that.
Yeah, you said it during our talk today.
When I was clearly memeing.
Was you? Honestly.
Oh, gee, Dylan, were you joking when you said that you didn't want her to hold office because she was a woman, or should I take that seriously?
That was serious. I mean, Andrew, you don't want women to vote, though. That's not a joke.
What a stupid fuck, dude. So the guy makes the same joke I do. When I do it, it's not a joke. When he does it, it's a joke.
I mean, it's a joke because I thought you were.
What a stupid dick.
You were serious, Andrew. That sounds like something
I honestly thought you were serious.
If you don't believe that, I don't know if you know how you come off sometimes, but it sounds like something you believe.
I honestly thought you believed it too.
So Andrew, you think women shouldn't be able to vote, but they
confluence. Pause.
Sorry.
No, that's not my position. I've never had the position women shouldn't be able to vote either. You guys,
what are you talking? No, you've said that hundreds of times.
Never said it once. Never.
I'm gonna move people. All right. People keep talking. I'm gonna move people to the waiting room. All right.
This is
now officially two. It's officially two afield. All right. We're not gonna. I got to cut both ways. Dylan, you made your point. Andrew, I've given you all. All right. So it sounds like I feel like we basically have come around to a pretty decent stopping point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around in the reverse order that I did intros for. And I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to shout themselves out and give their closing statements. All right. So starting in reverse order, first to go is Confluence. Do you want to shout yourself out and give your closing arguments?
Yeah, I'm Confluence 358 on YouTube. Again, center right, make political videos. Go check me out. Closing thoughts. I think we're all in agreement that the files exist. I think we disagree on what's in the files. I don't know if we covered enough ground, but at least we had some agreement and a lot of spicy takes. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Up next, we got Logix.
Yeah. So I'm Illogix on YouTube. ILLOGIX. Basically, like I said, I don't think there's any solid proof that Trump has done anything nefarious. I just think that it's funny that a lot of people on the right are tripping over themselves to not know if they want to be for or against them coming out or not believing what's coming out. I just want him to admit the fact that he's in the files and let his base do what they please with that information. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Next up, we got Grid Motorsports.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you having me on again. It's been fun. Not as fun as last time, but almost as fun. It's interesting to get all of the various takes, and we can tell who reads conspiracy theory as reality, and who keeps it in the realm of theory. And it's interesting the facts that are ignored. Nobody really seems to care that the UK are the ones that seem to have all of the verified Epstein data. Like nothing Nobody else. It's weird. Nobody. It's all about Trump, though, right? And to say that Trump is not a target is just simply, I mean, it's sophomoric at best and idiotic at more probable, right? And so I think Andrew did a good job. Fortunately, I didn't have to yell over him or anything because that would make me look bad. And but man, it was a good time. You can find me at Unreasonable Man on YouTube and Twitch, and I occasionally post on X, but very rarely. And it's been fun. You guys have a good night.
Cool. Thank you so much. Up next, we've got Andrew JD.
Yes, Andrew JD on every platform. My position has not changed at all. Never will. I feel like every single second that we waste talking about the Epstein stuff that will never materialize into anything would be my solid guess. That is oxygen wasted that could have been going towards a topic that matters. So let's put this. Hopefully, we can put this one to rest in the near future because it's tired. It's played out.
All right, thank you. Up next, we've got She's Right Show.
As of 2 days ago, sources as far right as Newsmax even reported from the official FBI investigation into the Charlie Kirk killing, there is no Kirk shooting tied to leftists. There is no evidence for it. Consider who's lying to you and who's telling the truth. Look up the sources as far right as you want. It's all out there. I support evidence. I support releasing all the files. I support the bipartisan effort, and not just when I'm penned in a corner and then I lie and flip on everything I've been saying this whole time.
Next up, we've got the Misfit Patriot.
Oh, thank God I'm right after her. Because I'm going to start with just debunking your bullshit. The shooter was a leftist. His family says he's a leftist. No, don't interrupt me. This is my closing. His family said he's a leftist. He wrote, "Catch this fascist" on his fucking shell casing. Okay, the right does not call people fascists. In fact, the left has tried to convince the entire world that the only thing a fascist is right wing. So use common sense critical thinking and stop looking at a fucking news headline for confirmation bias if you want to find out what political ideology the shooter espoused. Also, he fucking shot Charlie Kirk, not Kamala Harris. All right. Now, let's get that out of the way. The Trump, the Confluence, I think it was, said we all agree the files exist. I want to clarify. I don't think the files that you want exist. I think that they are destroyed. I think that they are long gone. And that's why I agree with Andrew JD in getting over this, because we're just going to keep on asking for something that was shredded. If there are files, I think that they're probably in a different government like MI6. And even if we did have the files that the smoking gun against Epstein or somebody else, then I think that I still have enough faith in my country based off of the system that we have that it's not necessarily like this nefarious reason. I think it's more likely that they're probably holding back certain details of the case because there's either further investigations or they're going to be compromising with other things that we've already gone over this. And finally, I think it was, can't remember his name, right above me, was saying, I want Trump to release it because I want him to just admit he's in the files. Trump has already done that. Trump has literally given you information saying, I am an associate of Jeffrey Epstein. So I think what a lot of people on the other side of the, let's say the left side of this argument, your TDS is basically going, okay, I want to catch Trump in this. You don't care about the children, you don't care about the victims, you don't care about Jeffrey Epstein at all, because if you did, you probably would have been talking about this over the past 19 fucking years, and you haven't been. It wasn't until the Democrats tried to weaponize it against Trump in the past 8 months, and then you guys started doing exactly what you always do. You started repeating what your fucking leaders tell you. There's a reason why Chuck Schumer, Gavin Newsom, Adam Schiff, and all of them are saying release the files, because they know there are no fucking files. So, because now that we can use critical thinking to know that there probably aren't any smoking guns that we're going to get or any further information, we should fucking move on, because there are more important things to fucking worry about. That's it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Up next, we've got Dylan Burns. You want to close out? Or we've got you. Yeah, do you want to shout yourself out and give your closing arguments?
Sure. So if there's nothing in American possession as was being suggested, maybe it's in British possession, maybe it's in French, Israeli, who knows possession. Even more reason to release it, because if you don't have the crucial files proving anything, then it should be of easy facility within your powers to release the files if what is being speculated is true. But of course, we are still completely in the realm of speculation. I think the reason, of course, I think Democrats are using this in a partisan manner. That's obvious. They didn't talk about it in the years leading up to this. But the reason they're able to use it in a partisan manner is because the Trump administration overpromised. And when I say the Trump administration, I mean Kash Patel, I mean Dan Bongino, I mean Pam Bondi, I mean just official after official in his immediate vicinity, not to mention J.D. Vance on the Theophan podcast. And when Trump was asked about it, it is true. One time he said, yeah, maybe we'll release it in response to a question. And another time he talked about, yeah, well, maybe we'll release it, but we don't want to implicate people and get them in trouble if they're not really, involved. And, some of that stuff's fake anyway. It seemed to be laying down the foundation for what's now the discussion from the Trump administration, which from Trump directly, it's a hoax. From Mike Johnson, maybe he's an FBI informant. Maybe it's referring to those proceedings with the prosecutors in the past. There's so much confusion around this, and they've handled it so poorly that the whole nation is unsatisfied with how this information has been released to the public. And so releasing it to the public is the most transparent way to deal with it. I hope they release it to the public. And I hope that when it does come out, whether it'll be done by the Jeffrey Epstein estate, whether it'll be done by the New York Times and other reporters who are just going to keep digging and keep digging and keep digging, that we have some transparency. And I honestly hope that Donald Trump did not participate in any criminal activity, because it'd be extremely embarrassing and humiliating for the United States if he was. And I don't know if we'd ever really be able to live that down. So I do hope the information comes out. I hope we have some transparency on it, and we should get more than the grand jury testimony.
Cool. Thank you, Dylan. And last but not least, closing us out, Andrew Wilson, would you like to shout yourself out and give your closing arguments?
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson, the host of The Crucible. Again, I'm a political analyst, political satirist. I also like to engage in debates of all different types all across the world. I don't take any of this personally. I want you guys to know that. I've debated with Dylan enough times. He probably does know that. He has a thick skin, too, about most of this shit. So I don't take any of it personally. I appreciate all of you being here. So for my closing, a couple things. First, I'll clarify very quickly my position on a couple things, since you attacked me on my credibility here, Dylan. It's always been my position that universal suffrage is a mistake. It's not gender specific. I think that limiting suffrage is a good idea for the United States. It's always been my consistent position. The only reason you attribute these other positions to me is, like most leftists, you're a fucking liar. Never pay attention to a word I say. So the thing is like, that's what most leftists do. They just fucking lie about the things that I actually believe, just like they lie about things Kirk actually believes, lie about the things Trump actually believes. You're all a bunch of fucking liars. So I actually have the clip here of me on whatever saying this like 50 times, by the way. And you guys still attribute that to me. It sounds like something you'd say, Andrew, though. Women shouldn't be able to. No, it's limiting the
I don't watch you all that much. I just talk to you on these panels, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey,
so
don't
anyway,
interrupt. Don't interrupt.
Well, I mean, that was a fair interruption, but I'm just pointing this out, that this is exactly why people don't trust left wingers. You think the thousands upon thousands of people watch me live right this second who are like, what is this fucking guy talking about? Yet he'll still attribute this as though you said it, because that's what you leftists do to right wingers constantly. Now, that draws the parallel for the entirety of this conversation. Now, what's really funny here is we actually have a lot of agreement with the leftists on the panel. We all want to see these files released, right? We all want to see these files released. We do. But you see that they're doing this in the way that would give the maximum amount of demonization to the right, and especially to Trump, when none of their fucking presidents were going to release shit. And William Jefferson Clinton was likely over on the Lolita Express himself. They don't give a shit about this issue. They've never given a shit about this issue. They only give a shit about trying to demonize right-wingers with this issue. We all know that that's the truth. It's been the truth since this thing kicked off. They don't care. There's multitudes of reports that I have of various left-wingers who have high social status in left-wing media saying that they basically don't care about the issue, but they can use it against the right, especially against MAGA, because MAGA is the people who are the evil guys. They were the ones spearheading the demand for the release of these documents, because they wanted to shut down anything like Pedophile Island. That's what they wanted to do. So It was nice to entertain the various hypotheticals, but back over here to this guy, look, I can engage in hypotheticals and entertain them without them being my actual position. This entire debate wasn't even a debate. It was just an expression of opinions that we all have based on pure speculation. The whole thing was designed to engage in hypothetical, and yet you still foolishly attributed these as though there are positions, which was very stupid. With that, I'll give my time. I appreciate all of you guys having me up here. It was very fun to talk to all of you, except for Andrew JD. Stop being an imposter, Andrew. No imposter Andrews allowed. There can only be. It's Highlander rules, bro. There can be only one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you all for being here. That was a spicy time, but I appreciate you all